Hello and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I am your host, Derek Stewart, again on a Monday morning. It is September 15th, and I got my kinfolk here, and we've been to do this thing again. You never can go wrong with logging in and rolling with us, because especially on a Monday morning, it's starting out the week. We had a sports-packed weekend full of sports we're going to be talking about today. We're encouraged, we're enlightened, and we feel good. And we always feel good because we feel good because you're part of our family, and we want to bring you in. We want to get you involved and talk about some really hitting hard sports topics, mainly from football, basketball, and everything else. We'll be talking a little bit about boxing as well today from this past weekend fight. But I got my kinfolk Isaah, and I got my kinfolk Najee, and welcome back, Najee. How you doing?
I'm great, man. That boxing thing was good, bro. I was like, bro, I was hoping Crawford was gonna knock Canelo out, though, but it was.
Man, we gonna rely heavily upon you to break everything down for us, then, because I didn't watch it, nor did Isaah watch it. So we will have you break everything down. And by the way, I want to send a shout out to Gus. He's one of my main guys here in Los Angeles. And we talked yesterday, and we were talking about that Canelo fight. And, you know, I was having some conversation with him about how Canelo didn't perform up to speed like he should have, maybe. Everybody was pulling for Crawford. Of course, I've never seen either one of these fighters fight, so I can't take a side. But beyond that, we'll definitely break it down. Gus works for a place downtown in LA in the fashion district called Mr. Suits, and that's where I get all of my fashion from. If you like casual clothes, if you want dress clothes, if you want any kind of accessories for men, whether it's a tuxedo for your wedding or whether you want to just go to a casual event or take your girl out to dinner, or wife, should I say, because a lot of times it's a wife, so we want to mention both of those things, but it's the best place to be. So check out Mr. Suits downtown in the fashion district and ask for Gus. So let me introduce and bring in my first kinfolk, and his name is Isaah, and we did that game on Saturday, man, and we did some kick butt reporting on that game. Don't you think so?
Yeah, it was fabulous. It was great. I was popping from one team to the next, man. I was watching my Cane do their thing. They had a delay with the rain and the storm and the lightning, but boy, when they came back, they just cranked it up another couple notches. Man, blew South Florida out the park. Had them guys going back with their tail between their legs.
Well, they were in a dream state, so we took them out. At least the Canes took them out of the dream state, right?
Man, they beat Florida, and we got them back. We got them back from the guys who's our Gators. But we going to have to put that thing on y'all this week when you come down here. We going to give y'all a good whooping. Lay across my lap and bam, we give you a good whooping. That's what the Canes are doing right now.
One thing is for sure. Florida's back is against the wall. And if they lose this one and go 0-3, they will be a reminiscent of last year with Florida State. So that should be an excellent game. I think both teams match up against each other well, and that should be a really good game to kick it off, you know, on Saturday. I mean, whenever they play, but I believe it's on Saturday. By the way, Najee, we missed you, brother, so I just wanted to tell you that. We're glad you know, were able to come back with us today because we knew you were away handling some business and stuff. So anyway, I had a good weekend because I reported with Isaah on that Florida game against LSU. And LSU didn't look good in the first half, but the second half they started kind of pulling away a little bit because of the interception, some of the mistakes that Florida made. So it helped LSU out. Today we'll be talking about, as I stated earlier, about the Canelo Terrence Crawford fight. And we'll be talking, specifically about follow-up scores from the college football weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about the NFL today and get in depth in some of the games that was played yesterday. We got a lot of things to cover today. So sit tight, relax, and sit back and just enjoy this topic driven conversation from Annie Brown. Annie Brown put it all together for us this week and this weekend, and we're happy to be here. So Annie Brown is asking me this question today. Where's this party, man? Where is this party at? Where the party at?
It's right here.
Right here,
is right here.
Annie Brown is right here.
It's right here, dog.
There is nothing like starting on a Monday morning, and we're going to be streaming more on the weekends. We're going to be streaming live on the weekends. Sometimes we'll stream on Saturday and Sunday, and then we'll have a Monday recap. So we're going to have a lot of content to bring to you. Let's get into our first content, and I want to talk a little bit about this fight with Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. Looks like Canelo held on to those belts for about 4 years, maybe a little bit under 4 years. He was able to defend those belts, and he defended them well up until Saturday. And you know what was amazing to me, gents, is there were 70,000 plus people watching this fight. Isn't that amazing?
Everybody was there.
Anybody and everybody was there. As a matter of fact, my boy Max Kellerman was there, and he was back in that tuxedo with his bow tie on, looking all sharp and everything. So I was glad to see Max back on point, because he had been off TV for quite some time. So to see him and to interview the fighters and, to do some announcing while this fight was going on. I mean, we had Shay and Ocho there. I saw them, in some of the highlights. And, man, I tell you what, Najee, just break it down for us and tell us what happened in the fight from the 1st to 12. Because Terrence Crawford had to come up 2 weight classes, correct? To fight this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because the crazy thing is, man, like when you see them on TV, it don't do justice to see how small these guys are, man. Like,
true.
You think as a grown man, when you were 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", that you're about 190, 200 pounds or whatever. No, these guys be like 140, 150, 160. And when I really seen the height difference when Andrew Reese came in and hugged Crawford, and she mind you, she's 6'3", so she's pretty tall. But it looked like she was hugging a child when she hugged him. But these guys, even when he did go up in weight, guess what? He still looked like a child. So that you know how great of a shape you have to be as an athlete to be that small. And then the whole match. So you could tell Canelo was getting tired throughout the fight. Crawford was in like peak shape. Because he held the whole tempo of the fight. Like it pretty much throughout the fight, I thought that he was going to knock him out because he was toying with him the entire time. He did take the tempo of the fight the entire time. He measured him up just like how Floyd normally do it. Now the thing is, he threw away more blows than Floyd would normally do. But
right, he had to. I would think he would have had to with the power that Canelo has.
He's a knockout artist, so I was just waiting for it. I knew it wasn't going to be early though, because personally, we all know they got to make their money. Because this is a main event. Everybody's there. It was a record setting of how many people was in attendance last night. Saturday night. So guess what? I knew it wasn't going to be early, but it lasted the entire time. And guess what? It wasn't, to me personally, it wasn't even close when it came to who was going to win. Because Crawford had that. He guess what? He remained undefeated too.
Was that thing set in the stadium, DC? They had for 75,000 people.
70,000 people. Yeah, it was in a large venue. I can check right now.
Because there's no arena going to hold 75,000 people. 25 is about.
It's not going to be like no basketball arena or anything that's going to hold that many. That's like a stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm checking right now to see where the venue, because it had to have, like you say, it had to have been a football stadium. They were at the Raider Stadium, Allegiant Stadium, so that's probably why. Yeah. And they made it possible to buy seats up really high. You probably still see the fight, okay? I would think.
Yeah, it's binoculars. That's
Correct.
binoculars you need.
I mean,
Unless they had
you
a
had
jumbo,
Max
you
Kellum
probably
that
had
used
a
to be on First
jumbotron
Take.
on too.
He was calling the fight the whole night.
You know what? I'm
Yeah,
happy to
they
hear
probably had
that.
a jumbotron open too. DC,
Yeah, and they
the
could put it on the
jumbotron
jumbotron
inside.
as well.
Yeah,
I think they did
yeah,
the organizers did a good job with this one because I know a lot of other fights, people tend to feel slighted when you have these other fights where it only goes 2 or 3 rounds, let's just say, because one opponent is actually got more of an advantage in size or weight or skill set than the other opponent. But it looked like this one it went the distance, which I like to see because people get
Yeah.
their money's worth to see it go the distance. You can see them punch more, you see them you see them move more, and that's a really huge difference right there. I
Yeah.
think personally.
well,
Which was crazy
when
too
they
because
have
Crawford was actually the underdog.
Oh,
they
For
Crawford,
gonna
yeah,
somebody
make
of
him
that
small,
had
course.
but
he was the
he's
underdog.
small
But
this
the thing
one.
is, for a
They
person
gonna make him
that
the
had the
underdog.
tempo of the fight the entire time, he dictate everything that was going on from round 1 all the way to 12. It's crazy that you're
They
the
gonna do a
underdog and you
rematch
had
and
it,
make
and
more
it
money for
felt
that
such like a
pay.
landslide of how he was controlling the fight.
Right.
Like he made Canelo just miss any type of swing he really wanted to do.
And it looked like he
Canelo,
got
you
some
could tell
good
he was getting
punches in
he
on
was getting
Canelo.
you could tell he was getting really frustrated because he like, bro, everything I'm trying to give you is not working.
Right. Right. And the thing is, that's a really unique thing in fighting because there's always an opponent out there you can't really size up. I've seen it from the time that I was watching the Ali fights back in the 80s and the Larry Holmes fights. I mean, heavyweight, middleweight, lightweight, super lightweight. It's always an opponent that's going to face off against a champ. And the champ can't size him up, especially that night. Maybe that night wasn't a good night for that champion to size him up. But looking at some of the numbers here, they went 12 rounds. Crawford landed
Mm-hmm.
289 punches out of 683 thrown, which is 42%, while Canelo landed 210 out of 620, which is 34%. It looks like Crawford was able to jab him really well and keep him away. Crawford had he connected on
he was a
112
jab
jabs,
machine.
man.
He was a jab
The
machine.
part that I see in that fight, he was taking Clemento to school. He just took him to school, man. They showed on the highlights where he would break it down, where he would act as if he's going to throw a full punch just to set him up and then counter with the right and just clock him, man.
Yep,
So it's just a skill level that I think he had too. Crawford just had a better skill level.
Yeah,
absolutely. And he
Canelo he
came in
could
with a
not read
better
it. He could not read it.
strategy.
He tried to. He
Yeah,
really tried to.
Crawford looked like he
You could
came in
tell
with a better
that's why he was so
strategy.
frustrated. Oh
Right,
yeah, of course, of course. It was like he was
absolutely.
really playing with a child because he was like, yeah, let's go. Yeah, you can't get me. And not only you can't get me, I'm gonna start striking when I want to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Canelo only was able to get 56 jabs in. He struggled to cut off the ring because, that was one of his big, strong points. He cut off the ring so boxers couldn't move as
Mm-hmm.
well and get out of the way of his punch. Because sometimes when you're a right-hand puncher, you want to set a certain part of the ring up where you can get them so you could throw that right hand or that uppercut and bring that right hand with the power, because that's where your power is generally. If you're lefty, your
Mm-hmm.
power is going to be in your left. If you're right, your power is going to be in your right. So,
Because of course the power is coming from your legs too.
exactly, and a big part of it's coming from your legs. That's one thing that made Mike Tyson really special. He had legs of steel, and his legs were able to spring him into that punch or those punches that he hit those people with back when he was fighting, when he was young, when he was 19 and 20. Oh man, nobody could get in that ring with Mike. But okay, so Crawford is now the undisputed champ in 3 divisions, which it says here, the first boxer to ever do so. So let me ask you this, Najee. Do you think he's going to defend these belts well, or do you think he's going to throw in the towel? Because there was rumor that he might just vacate the belts and just call it a career. Is that possible, you think?
Why not when you're already on top? He's already his hit a tier that nobody else have ever done it. He's now Canelo's 35. Everybody thought he was old already. Crawford's 37. He's actually older.
Mm-hmm.
So now you already in a major money. You're undefeated, and you don't and now you're on a tier that nobody else have ever touched now. So why not just finish off right there where you at? Because normally a lot, like I said, when it comes to any sport, when you get into your late 30s, most of the time, bro, that's I mean, shoot, when you get in your early or mid 30s in most sports, that you're already speaking retirement, or you're going into the you're going to the sunset. 37, Kobe retired at 37. Jordan,
Right.
he retired from the Bulls at 35. So I mean, why not finish on while you're on top?
Well, I have a question for Isaah on this one, and that was a good point, Najee. So it looks like Alvarez reportedly received $150 million out of this fight, as well as Crawford took home a guaranteed $50 million, and this like I said, was reportedly. Those purses were made public. Now, Isaah, let me ask you this. Do you think Crawford should come back to gain that $150 million plus? Because he's defending the belts now. So he's in control of the bag. You think he should come back and do it? Because Canelo is going to want to fight him again. Canelo is going to want a rematch, of course.
If he's feeling good, I mean, he looked fantastic. If he's feeling great enough to continue, I would defend, because he's got several belts now. He needs to defend every one of them. Mm-hmm. And he can just call shots now. He can call the
he certainly could call the bag shots.
You got it, right. And that's what I'm telling you. He can just defend every last one of them belts and call the pockets of every one of the belts. He can ask for any kind of money he wants right now. So I would urge him to continue to go, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of folks did not know who Crawford was until, last Saturday. So now he's got the notoriety of it. And now he can just almost call shots around the board. He can pick and choose who he really want to fight too. So it's going to be guys just popping up and want to get a bag. So they'll come over there and bunch up in the ring too. And he need to just knock them off one by one. And then when he get through taking care of all of them, then he can retire. He'll be worth $1 billion then.
Well, I think Canelo is going to want a rematch, don't you think?
He probably would, but I won't give him one right away. I'll give all these other guys a shot first and then clean him up at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, think about something, DC. What if he give him a rematch and he loses? Just think about that. He give him a rematch and he loses. So all his, his money is go down the toilet. But if he beat everybody else and then give him that rematch at the end, then he can call whatever he wants. So I would just take on all the other challengers first and then rematch.
That makes sense, though. In a lot of ways, now that I think about it, you're right. That does make sense, at least to have two fights before he re-meet Canelo. I mean, because, it's only building up to the point where these fighters can the purse will even get bigger. And there's countries like Saudi Arabia that wants to host these fights. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, places like that. If they host those fights in those countries, you're talking about $200, $300, maybe even $400 million between the two fighters. It could easily be that way,
Of course it could. Yep.
So the biggest thing is I didn't hear a lot about Crawford because I haven't watched boxing in so long because I don't pay pay-per-view because these fights to me are not.
It was on Netflix. You would have been good.
I don't even have Netflix, so that tells you how far away I am from civilization, as you call it.
We didn't cover that game, DC. I would have watched it. I was even invited to a party. A fight party, and since we covered the Florida game this weekend with LSU, so we was recording that night. That's why it was happening at the same time.
Right. So this is the thing, and we welcome everybody who's joined us. Jump in the chat and chat about this with us because we want your input as well. The biggest thing with the Canelo and Crawford is this fight kind of brought fighting back to the level that it was back in this heyday, which these fights went 12 rounds, and this fight went 12 rounds. So people were able to get every drop of their satisfaction of money's worth from this fight, especially the people that showed up at Allegiant Stadium to see it in person,
And it also felt more authentic. It also felt more authentic because it's not like all these other fights that being set up like with Jake Paul. You have him fighting people that's 50 and 60 years old. So I mean, then it that seems more staged than anything. Because why would you fight somebody that's your father or older than your father versus you have somebody that's really when they're both still
they're skilled, they're skilled
athletes,
fighters,
and they're they're only 2 years apart from each other. So I mean, they both in their mid 30s. So it felt so much more authentic.
Like the one that Mike Tyson Mayweather fight, that's nothing but
man, come on. They are. I mean, those two fighters, they're just in it for the profit.
The height and the weight class, the height and the age is a big part on that one.
Well, I just think if Mike get in the ring,
70 pounds different. It's about 4 inches difference in height. And they even fight completely different. One is a defensive fighter that you cannot touch. One is a power puncher. Like if Floyd get hit by him, Floyd is not going to really be able to stand that much.
Well, you just summed everything up. I was getting ready to say, if he get in that ring in that squared circle with Mike, and this is a legitimate, real fight, and they call it an exhibition fight, but if Mike get in there and really want to fight, and Floyd get in there and they treat it like a true bona fide fight, Floyd Mayweather is going to be in a heap of trouble. I'm just tell you like that. Even Mike is almost 60 years old, but Floyd Mayweather, he can't take those type of punches. He could try to cover up and everything, but
never fought. Even when he was younger, he never fought somebody that strong that bring that type of punch in.
Exactly.
I don't know how this gonna be an exaggerated fight, man. They're gonna have clauses in there where no dog, don't knock me out. All of this kind of foolishness gonna be drawn into those contracts, man. It ain't gonna be nothing but a money grabber for the nuts.
It's a money grab.
Spend some money. That's
it's definitely a money grab.
I'm gonna have to see the rules in that. I'm gonna really have to see the rules in that. I gotta see the rules in that because I mean, there's no way because Floyd will be able to give him the hardest punches he can give him and will not be able to knock him down. Tyson hit him one good time. Floyd is gonna be dizzy.
Najee,
Floyd couldn't even take Mayweather couldn't even take a body blow from Mike Tyson, let alone a head shot.
That's besides the point.
That's what I'm saying.
Listen to me, man. That's besides the point. The last couple fights that Mike Tyson had, they was urging him not to knock these folks out. When he fought Roy Jones Jr., these guys was out there just pecking at each other, man.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while. Roy Jones Jr.
And then what was the other guy named the YouTuber and who he fought?
Jake Paul.
When he fought Jake Paul didn't have something in his claws with Tyson wouldn't knock him out. It's a money grab. It's a bunch of money.
Which is crazy if you think about it. You got somebody that's 28, then you got somebody that's 58, 59, and we telling the 59, hey, bro, do not knock him out.
Listen, to hype it up, guys, they had old tapes of Mike when he was sparring, and they're looking superb. Moving fast, bringing his hips around and doing all the stuff that he did in the glory days. And when he got in the ring, I smelled liniment. I seen bandages around his leg. He was slow. He was fatigued. And, man, he was super glad when that fight was over. He's just not – it's just a money grab, man. Tyson is not up for that.
Let me just say this.
The name recognition is going to bring all these fools to the table and spend their money, and that's going to be the end of it. There's nobody's getting knocked out. Mayweather is too quick for him still.
Nobody's getting knocked out.
He ain't going to be able to touch Mayweather, man. I'm telling you that right now.
Well, I beg to differ with you with that, even though Mike's almost, like I say, Mike's my age, but he's almost 60. I'll tell you right now that there ain't enough running or Gary ain't no place to go in that square circuit, and Mike wouldn't be able to cut him off if he really wanted to. So they may have it where it's a true exhibition fight. They just jab and they throw and they punch. So that's the way I'm looking at it. But this Crawford fight will definitely follow Crawford from this point on, because I'm very interested in knowing who he's going to fight next. And then if this next Canelo fight come up against Crawford, I'll probably get Netflix. If it's on Netflix, I'll just order it for that day or whatever. However, one thing that I do know, that I've watched a lot of fights, and when a fighter loses to a fighter one time, he usually loses to him a second time, unless it's a little bit different when Canelo get in there with him this time when it comes to being in shape and things like that. Wouldn't you agree, Najee?
I wish they would have told, who was it, Wilder, where they had Tyson and Wilder fight. I wish they would have told him that they fought like 3 times, didn't they? And he just had to take it. He had to fight him every time to say, bro, I got to get a W. Like, you're not going to keep whooping on me. And then he whooped them every time still.
Yeah, well, look at Larry Holmes. I mean, he fought Michael Spinks, you know, and Larry Holmes couldn't. I mean, he literally almost knocked Michael Spinks out, but literally that's what he would have had to do, because if they went the distance, Michael Spinks was going to win that fight, and that's kind of how it was back then, you know. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. So Andy Brown has got another topic for us, and we want to move on to this topic and start back into college football. It looks like DeShaun Foster, UCLA, or should I say ex-US UCLA coach, was fired this past weekend. It looks like his coaching record at UCLA was 5-10. He was fired after only 15 games, including an 0-3 start to the 2025 season. He was promoted to head coach in February of 2024 and coached less than 2 full seasons before being let go on the 14th, which was this past weekend. I saw it. It was breaking news
yesterday.
Yeah, me and Isaah talked about this on Saturday. Isaah, you remember we talked about this, and we were talking about, look, man, I was concerned about his job security, because if you're losing like that, and for a legacy program like UCLA, I've lived out here for a long time, so I know the UCLA faithful was not happy with that team. And if you saw that game against New Mexico, yeah, you saw that game against New Mexico in Pasadena in the Rose Bowl, it looked like less people were there than a high school game. That's just how bad it looked. Only a small section of people were there, and it's pretty embarrassing. I think he was put in a spot where he was just destined to lose either way. So Isaah, tell me, because Chip Kelly got out of there, he left some decent talent there. Eric Bieniemy came in, and Eric Bieniemy got let go as well. What do you think? Do you think the school did the right thing letting DeShaun Foster go?
Yeah, they're trying to cut the losses, DC. You know, all this stuff is money driven. If you can't put no rear ends in the seats, and you out of here. I mean, just think about something. Whenever you got a guy who can bring some swag like Deion brought over in Colorado, Deion is not kicking no whole lot of butt over there in Colorado. But I tell you one thing, that stadium is filled every Saturday night. It's always filled. And see, when people lose interest in a club, you know, the president, you know, these boosters, all of those guys got to get together and make a decision, because they can't continue to do that, because the football program carry the whole athletic department.
It does.
I mean,
it does.
The football program. So if you're getting that hit from the football program, that means you're going to be lacking in all the other areas of sports in that university. You got to make your chances and try to, you know, get that season back on track, because otherwise you could have a lost season. It's still early. That's why they probably went ahead and did it now, because maybe they can win 6 or 7 games of a season and bring some people back to that stadium. Otherwise, it's going to be a lost cause, and then they're going to be finding themselves hunting for a coach at the end of the year. They need to do it right away, and that's what they done yesterday. They pulled the trigger and got rid of them. But you and I, we talked about it. We seen the handwriting on the wall. We seen him lose the first game, and last year he didn't have a good season either. So they just had to cut their losses and move on. Yeah.
I wish DeShaun Foster all the luck in the world moving on to his future endeavors. More than likely, he will get another assistant head coach job somewhere, and we wish him well. It looks like UCLA replaced him with Tim Skipper, who was the special teams coach for UCLA, and Tim Skipper will serve as the interim coach throughout the rest of the season for UCLA. And Tim Skipper his job is going to be very difficult because they're in the Big Ten. I mean, they're in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is not an easy conference to be in at all. I mean, you're looking at schools like Penn State, Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, I think personally, and this is a whole nother conversation of a topic that we'll talk about at some point, I just think it was kind of sad that the Pac-12 kind of dissolved to the point where they couldn't keep these teams because of these TV contracts. Because, first of all, you have East Coast schools and West Coast schools traveling across country over 4-hour flights just to go to a football game. Mm-hmm. So think about your fan base. If your fan base isn't in position to be able to take a trip to Penn State, if you know, let's just say USC or UCLA or any of these Pac-12 schools, well, they're Big Ten schools now, but any of these past Pac-12 schools, you want to go to a game, look, you go to the game here and then you go to a game in Washington State, or you go to a game in Oregon, or you go as far away as maybe, you know, toward the Midwest, but you're traveling all the way to places like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and places like that, Michigan. That's a lot of strain on the program itself and the students, and that goes both ways. That goes for those Big Ten schools that have to travel out west and the West traveling east. However, those Big Ten schools are built to play in the Big Ten, and they're built to travel. So I don't think it's a big deal for a Big Ten school to come west and play versus a West Coast team going east to play. Would you say that? Mm-hmm. It's very difficult because you got a 3-hour time difference. Anytime you look at a 3-hour time difference, you're losing time going to a football game, or gaining time going to a football game, and you lose either way, you know? But it's all driven by money. I mean, it's all driven by revenue. That TV contract was just too enticing,
because a lot of these sports are being stretched out when it comes to be able to see it now. Just what we were talking about when a lot, like, so we're going to veer off to basketball real quick. So like when they were saying the views of the NBA been going down, it's because now you gotta, if you need all these streaming apps just to be able to see certain games now. Right. Like if you have the NBA League Pass, like for me where I'm at, I can't even watch a Miami Heat game because they will not let me see because it's a different they're on a different broadcast. So I can't even. So if I got NBA Pass, I can watch just about every game in the country, but I can't watch the one that's an hour and a half away from me. So guess what? Now I need something else to be able to watch it. So now you stretching me out to see another game or another team play by having a different app or something else that's going to cost me more money. I don't want why I want to have 3 or 4 different apps just to be able to watch a sport.
Right.
Football, NFL. You need Prime, Peacock. You need you need NFL League, bro. I need 3 apps just to watch football, bro.
Well, it's going to get more complicated than that, more likely in the next 10 years.
Of it's crap, because these streaming apps were supposed to be just like rent. It's supposed to be a cheaper alternate to be able to watch certain things. Now that they done got contracts with these other apps that you're paying basically just as much as cable.
Right.
When you put all of them together.
Well, one thing is for sure,
TV, all that.
These TV contracts are going to continue to grow. They're going to get bigger, especially with these programs, these bigger programs, these top 12 teams that's going to be in this college football playoff rotation this year. It's just going to be off the charts because people love college football anyway. So now you have 12 teams as opposed to 6 teams. And you have those 12 teams playing. It's going to be really exciting to watch. And we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Now, one thing I need to ask Isaiah, and we'll move forward on to college football scoreboard from the weekend. We covered the Florida LSU game on Saturday, but one question I want to ask Isaiah is first about the top 12. Let's just go to AP and the coaches poll to the top 12. What do you think? What do you think of Notre Dame was sitting at 8 until they lost against Texas A&M? Do you think they should have been positioned at 8 with being 1 and 2?
No idea. I had no idea why they were sitting there, DC, at all, man. They had no business sitting in the top 10, period. You got teams that's undefeated, that's 13, and they're 8, and they didn't even play well when during their loss. And so how in the world is still sitting at 8? They got to start doing a better job than that, because that's offensive to the teams that's undefeated. Here we are 3 weeks into the season, and you got teams that's lost that's still sitting in the top 10. And they got to start cleaning that mess up, man, because it don't look good. And I watched them lose, and they lost because they just got mauled, and they still in the top 10. So these guys about to start putting their heads together, because it's going to get worse. They started out with 6 teams being in the playoff, and they, push it up to 12, which I think that's more reasonable than ever to have 12 teams there. So you can kind of iron out all the noise when teams say, "Oh, I'm undefeated. How come I didn't get a chance at the shot at the national championship?" So those days like that is gone, because you got this playoff system where, we're going to eliminate all the noise and get the best teams there, because it was a lot of teams that was being left out when they just had those couple of teams getting in the playoffs. But now, if you undefeated, chances are you're going to have a good chance of getting there. But if you start losing 1 or 2 games, you're done.
Well, if you lose 2 games, you're out of it. I mean, you're out of it if you technically lose 2 games. Because of the way it's structured now, they're not going. It's going to be very, very little chance for a 2-loss team to get in there. Like Clemson, for example. Let's bring Clemson into this fold. Clemson is not. I don't see them squirming their way into this playoff this year like they did last year, because they were able to win the ACC championship game. Because they didn't. To me, Miami didn't get there. So this system and this structure. Go ahead.
It was almost like Clemson manipulated their way in there, man. It was super, crazy the way that happened. It had so many people upset about that, because Clemson shouldn't have been there, and then they got their butts beat. It's not right when you got a team, an organization that plays their heart out, get to where they need to be, and then some team, just because they got a popular following, a fan base, find their way into the playoffs and deep in the playoffs where they, playing for a championship. That's not right at all. But now these things are slowly but surely ironing themselves out, where they get rid of those teams like that.
Well, here's the thing about Clemson, and let me revert back to what you just said about Clemson. I think that if Miami would have did their job and won their game, it would have been a no-brainer. Clemson wouldn't have been there. So I'm not going to blame that more so on Clemson than I will on the University of Miami inability to be able to get that last game handled. If they closed out that last game, we wouldn't even been having that discussion, because Miami would have been in that. About it. Yeah, and Miami would have been into that playoff, and who knows how far they could have went. I would say that they would have went the whole distance. But Clemson, it was just one of those situations where it fell right where Clemson needed it to be, with the way that the ACC was set up, and then you had SMU. Clemson, they went in and handled SMU. I mean, come on. So let me read off the top 12, and then we'll talk a little bit about these top 12 teams. Ohio State didn't move because they won big over the weekend. Penn State won big over the weekend. LSU, they won against Florida. I mean, although it was a legitimate kind of a struggle in the first half until they got their footing and they were able to get their game back together. Miami won huge, and Miami is up one position, it looks here, which they deserve to be in that 4th slot right now. And after they handle Florida this coming weekend, they should be able to, because LSU is getting ready to get into a gauntlet of games. And we'll see if LSU, what they are made of once they get into that gauntlet in the SEC West of playing schools like Texas and Mississippi and all of these schools that's going to be ready for them, Georgia is 5. Georgia kind of struggled to beat Tennessee at Tennessee, but they did it. They got it handled. That's what championship teams are made of. They're road built. They built to last. They built to go on the road. Alabama did it with Saban. There was times and years that Saban they were struggling on the road, but they always found a way to win, right? And if you look at Oregon dropped down to, I believe that's because of the games that they've already played. Although they blew out Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma State hadn't been pretty much Oklahoma State for the last 5 or 6 years. Then Florida State, they were on an idle week, so they coming back this week. They're at 7. Texas is at 8, and it looks like Texas dropped down one slot at 2-1. So Texas, we're beginning to talk about this team with Texas. When they play Oklahoma, they're going to have to figure out how to win that game if they want to be in the playoff run. Illinois is 3-0 at number 9. Texas A&M is number 10 at 3-0. And Oklahoma, which is well-deserved, is in at 11 at 3-0. And it looks like Iowa State is 4-0 at number 12. So let me go back to that Notre Dame game when they played Texas A&M. And I want to ask Isaiah this question. Did you see that hole, the very last play that tight end caught that touchdown? Did you witness that hole?
Yes, I did witness that hole.
And I'm just appalled and shocked that the referee, who stands right behind the quarterback, did not see that offensive guard get bowled over and he tackled the defender. I thought it was shameful. I thought it was a shameful way to end the game. And I know Notre Dame is probably saying, that didn't cost them the game. It was a whole collective 4 quarters of play, which I do believe in that as well. But if you look back, that should have been a flag thrown, and Texas A&M should have been backed up. They should have been backed up to get another opportunity to see if they could score. I don't get it, man. And I guess the ref or everything is subjective, so they throw a flag if they want to. But that guy literally got tackled. That defender from Notre Dame literally got pulled down to the ground, which is a penalty. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Of course I do, and I was complaining about that several weeks ago, and you defended those officials. You offended them. Remember that? And you defended those officials. Remember that? I have
to admit, I defended those officials, those particular officials, not the crew that was covering the Notre Dame Texas A&M game.
And I was super hot with you. I felt like grabbing you by your ears and just shake you, man. And you just had me appalled that you was defending those guys like that. I mean, I just didn't understand.
Here's the thing that I have with officiating. Officiating is the only legitimate source to validate sports and to validate any kind of sport that they're officiating in. There has to be some type of validation, but you're dealing with human beings who, they're subjective just like you and I. So you had 2 line judges. You had one on the left. You had one on the right. They're supposed to be watching the offensive line play, as far as I'm concerned. And both sides, if they didn't see that guy get pulled down to the ground, they blind. They're blind. They're blind.
Listen, they was blind on there, but they was trying to be blind that day. Come on, man, to miss that call. We seen it within full time, but then I got my set and start reversing it. And then when they started doing like the replay of it, I was like, wow, how could they miss that call?
Yep.
I mean, it was blatant.
It was just blatantly out in the open. The lineman was going backwards, and he pulled the defensive lineman down with him. That is a penalty. That is a
Yeah,
penalty.
see, but one thing I can say about that, DC, what's disheartening about those calls like that? I'm not going to say the officials bet on these games, but they have some type of bias against teams because it's just a human nature of loving something better than any other. That's
True.
just without question. But
Yeah,
you
true.
still got to take in consideration these are children, these are kids, most of them are not adults yet, and you take something away from a kid who's working his rear end off to make a play and get held because his skill level or his quickness, fortify him to get in there faster or to make that play, and then he get held and you don't call it. You just didn't do your job. And I don't know why every season you got these officials that dictate some of the outcomes of these games because of their bias. And that's not fair to these kids, man. Understand something. And if you ever got into sports, period, I don't care who you are and what kind of sport it was, you got to have certain degree of sacrifice. Whether it's tennis, you out there playing it, practicing it in the hot sun, and it's more so. And I'm a specimen of this. When I was in high school and college, we had to go out there in the summer months when it's the most brutal time of the year with the heat to play and to practice and to get better at your football skill.
Right.
And then for you to get into a game and official don't call a play where you was going to make that tackle or make that play or whatever the case may be, and they don't make the call and they catch a touchdown and win the game. I don't
It's
see how those
disheartening.
guys can sleep, man. It's not right, man. And then these guys can live that forever thinking, wow, this guy held me. I remember a play in high school, and I still remember this, and it tore me apart because I didn't play that game. I had a deep thigh bruise, and our receiver caught a ball on the sideline, and they called a touchdown back because we would have won that game. And they said that I running back, the receiver stepped out of bounds. He never stepped out of bounds.
I mean, you
And
told me
they
that.
called it as he stepped out, man. And that haunted me so long. I felt so bad. I felt betrayed because I used to see the official who officiate our games from Little League all the way into high school. And to see him biased because he went to that high school and he took that game away from us. And this hurt, man. And for them to be able to have that type of power and they don't call the right play. I just looked at the head coach for Notre Dame when he was, anticipating on, coming out of this game with a win.
Oh, they needed Notre Dame.
Man.
Notre Dame had to have this game. This was just everything was riding on this game. They had to have this game because they're completely out of it right now. They'll go to a bowl, of course, because they're Notre Dame. But they aren't. I don't see them getting into that rotation of 12 teams.
No, they're not.
Not with two losses. And if they mess around, drop another one for sure. But with two losses, pretty much you can't afford to lose but maybe one game nowadays playing college football. Two losses is kind of like a situation where you're going to be in a jam, let's just say. So right now, I'm going to just say this. I think the top five will stay the same until they start playing each other. And then we'll see. That's the good thing about college basketball and college football is both sports, they start playing each other and then it starts to reconcile itself to a point where you can understand who's going to be playing and who's going to stay in the top positions. I do have a question for Najee. Do you think Billy Napier's going to get fired after this coming weekend when Miami slaughter him? Florida, or if Florida plays tough, you still think they're gonna can him in the middle of the season?
Florida head coach.
Okay, so I feel if they give if they give a good fight and lose, yes. But if it's a style of that's why I always say it's the style of losing how you do it. If they fight, they grit it out, and they lose at the end. Cool, but if you get blown out, then they mean you need to get out the door. That's the way how it's gonna go. If the
Mm-hmm.
game is close and they lose, cool. Then you can build from that. But when you get blown out, you're not even in competition. Like, what are you doing? Like, what we spending this money on you for? That's how I believe that's
I
gonna go.
think he's on.
I
I
can
think
tell
he's hanging
you,
on by a string myself.
he's
Yeah,
dangling
that's what I'm
DC, and I'm
saying.
gonna tell you right now, the way the Miami Hurricanes has been playing, they're playing this season. You know, they play really tough. They game tackle, and the way Florida played LSU this week with throwing 5 picks, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Miami Hurricanes gonna get after that quarterback,
DJ
and
Lagway.
he was throwing. Lagway gonna be running for his dear life, man. I'm telling you, the Miami Hurricanes know how to stunt. They know how to have decoys coming in. They sneak you, and this guy gonna be running for his dear life, and that's what happened to him. He can't freaking function under pressure. He tried to get rid of that ball, and he forces the ball in. You know, 4 of those interceptions is where he would just like had his fingers crossed to try to thread the ball in into coverage. He was throwing to a lot of coverage, DC. You seen it. At the
Mm-hmm.
end when he threw that pick in the end zone, that was like a toss up. But the rest of them, he was forcing that ball in there. Sometimes when
And he
you're in
was
high school,
staring
you
down
get
his receivers in several of those interceptions.
he never looks off. And I'm gonna tell you right now, what I can see in this kid is he's been getting away with that stuff in high school where you can fire that ball in there and the defender don't react too fast to it and you can get that ball to your receiver. But in college, you have to look the other way. You don't stare your receiver down the field, and you got to watch out for that safety because what he'll do is he will watch his receiver down the field, and that safety will look into his eyes and drift right over there. And the moment he released that ball, he go over there and snag it. And he go the other way with it, and he go looking like a freaking hurt puppy, run on the sideline because he don't throw another pick. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, the Canes gonna get after him, especially watching those film of what we've seen this weekend. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So this is my take on Billy Napier. I think they gave Billy Napier an extra year to turn the program around. So far, it hadn't happened. So it's a week to week thing with him. Just like Najee just expressed it. If he gets blown out this coming weekend, I believe it's going to be similar to what happened to DeShaun Foster. It's going to be breaking news.
Exactly.
It's going to be breaking news, and
it has to be
it's just
guys
inevitable for it to happen, especially with
you have to
Florida.
show that you're building. If you get
right
potentially
now,
getting blown out and you're not even in competition, like bro, you got to walk out the door. But if you show that your team is building when your team is already not good, then you have something to build off of. Unless they already have a personal agenda of who they already want to replace you with.
Correct.
That's the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah,
this
we
is an
brought John
in-state
Gruden's
title.
name up over the weekend as well. We brought John Chucky Gruden's name up, and his name is kind of surfaced. Just, people putting that, information out there, these rumors out there that he's, ready for a college job. But is he really ready? I mean, you have to ask that question. I mean, he's bringing name recognition, but is he really ready to tackle all of the complications and the schemes that go on in college football that the NFL is just not happening in the NFL? It's not happening. And these kids got the ability now to be able to go different places because of the NIL contracts, and you ain't going to be able to hold on to them. It's just more complicated in the NFL to me. However, he will land a college job, and I believe it's going to happen. Just it depends on where he would land a college job. Now, he might be a very, very high candidate for UCLA. We'll see. I mean, because if he wants to move to Southern California and come out here and coach a program that's a very viable program, that would be a good thing to do for him if the school is interested in him, So it looks like Alabama won big against Wisconsin, but will their coach survive the season?
Roll Tide. They
and I'm asking
stride.
Exactly. So Isaiah, tell me, will Alabama's coach survive it after this year?
if he continue to win, yes. Because they already left him alone. If he can beat Auburn, if he drop one or two more games and go in there and slaughter Auburn at the end, he will be okay. But if he lose one or two more games and then Auburn hand it to him, he's out, man. They're gonna start collecting some money to buy his contract out, and they're gonna start looking for the next best thing. And I'm gonna tell you right now, you mentioned this thing with Gruden. Gruden is not the answer to any team right now. I think he
Mm-hmm.
need to go away in the sunset. He's not going to do anything. But what I would be looking for in a head coach, if I was Florida or Alabama, any one of these teams, or UCLA, that's got opening, I'll be looking for a head coach that's in college football right now who understand this game. I'm talking about a good offensive coordinator somewhere and bring him in. I would not be looking for an outside guy like Gruden. Gruden is past time. He's over the hill. He's molded cornbread, man. I would not hire him.
Yeah, that's a good point. You said Auburn. That's a big if they beat Auburn. Auburn is looking 360 degrees different this year than they did last year. It looks like Hugh Freeze got Auburn on a roll, and we'll see how well they perform throughout the season.
That's the reason why I say that'll save him. That's why I say that'll save him.
Right. And we talked a little bit about Mike Gundy over at Oklahoma State, whether he will make it through. Well, will he be back next year? Because I don't think nothing's going to happen to him during the season. And, Dave Aranda over at Baylor, he seemed to bail himself out when he was able to come back and beat SMU at home. And Baylor's pretty much turned it back around. I'm here looking at there's quite a few coaches that's going to have to step it up. They're going to have to step it up, or they're going to step out. The school going to step them out if they don't step it up, So, let's talk a little bit about NFL, and I want to get started by saying the Miami Dolphins sucked. Tell me a little bit about why they sucked, Isaiah.
So they trash. Sorry.
They let New England come in there and beat them. Yeah.
It's so awful.
They got a long way to go now. I'm going to tell you flat out.
I'm going to tell you right now, Isaiah owed me some money October 30th when the Ravens come and tackle him.
I'm scared to think about what the Ravens is going to do to him.
We're going to do just like we did the Browns. We're going to do just like we did the Browns.
Najee. You were scared to bet me.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because I am not scared of that. I'm not scared of them fish. I am not scared of them fish. I ain't never been scared of them fish.
When I offered to bet you, your money was shaky. Now you see my team ain't crying.
You say his money was funny?
No, it wasn't.
Hey, Najee, he's saying your money was funny.
No, money was never been funny. Never been funny. As a matter of fact, I was willing to break up the stakes, but Isaiah's already not a betting man, especially if he feels that he's not on the higher side of the bet, like he feel like it's basically guaranteed. No, I want to put more money down, but he said he just want to say let's just keep this small bet because I'm gonna be for sure for my team, but I know I'm trash. We know we trash. We know the Dolphins is trash. The Dolphins is awful. The Dolphins is awful. It's only three teams I feel for the Ravens. It's the Bills because the Bills always have our net for some reason. It's the Bills, the Eagles, and in Kansas City, but guess what? Kansas City is
on a downturn right now. They're not looking good.
They don't even have no receivers.
No.
They don't even have no receivers. He has nobody to throw it to. So it's really just the Eagles and the Bills. That's the only team I'm scared of.
Don't leave out the Chargers now, because the Chargers they're a scary team right now.
I'm not worried about no Chargers.
And tonight we got a double header coming on tonight.
And we still blew them out. And we still, we do. And we still blew the Browns out with Derrick Henry only getting 23 yards.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not scared of no Dolphins, man. I'm not scared of no Dolphins. I'm not scared of them in Baltimore. I'm not scared of them in Miami. I'm not scared of them.
Well, one thing is for sure that they're 0-2 right now. And if they keep falling below the wayside like that, because normally Miami for the last 5 years have started out 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. And, everybody was asking whether they were legitimate. I mean, whether they were a legitimate undefeated record at the time when they started those seasons. But to start it out 0-2 is not a good way to start a season out. And Tua did not look good. Tua didn't look great. They haven't played nobody great yet.
They playing the Colts and the Patriots. They are not good teams, and you lost to both of them.
Well, Tua didn't look good yesterday, for sure.
And you're going to tell me that you're going to beat a team that's one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, but you can't even beat subpar teams. Come on, stop playing me.
Well, what happened to Tua, Jerome? What happened to Tua? Does anybody know what happened to Tua yesterday? Everybody's quiet.
I know what happened to him. He trash. I've been saying he's trash. I've been saying he's trash.
Well, they're going to need a quarterback at some point moving on into the future, I think.
They had the perfect offseason, this past offseason, to get a quarterback. Like when we waited for Shador to finally get picked up, the Dolphins had 4 or 5 rounds to finally get that out the way. But guess what? No, they're gonna still believe in Tua. They want to make sure Brian Flores was out of there. And guess what? Tua is not the answer. He can't stay healthy. He's inaccurate of a player. He is trash. He's playing worse every season. You would think he'd get better he's getting worse every season he plays.
So Isaiah, what do you say to that?
The Dolphins is in disarray. The whole organization is in disarray. I mean, their timing is not right. They're super crazy in terms of their
penalties. Freelancing.
I could not believe that they are so undisciplined, man. They cannot stay on sides. They can't listen to the count. The stadium is not that loud where you know good and well what the call is going to be. They jumped off sides. They got so many penalties on offense and defense. Guys just dropped the ball. I don't understand, man. It just seemed like they just started to practice together this week. Mm-hmm. And they just don't. I mean, it just don't look like a team that's gelled together. And I know Mike McDaniels used to be like a genius with his play calling, and they just don't know how to execute the plays. It just don't look good, man. Their team don't even look like they're a unit. They look like they all just got together and said, "Come on, let's go out there and play." Nobody knows nobody. The connection is not there, and the ball is getting thrown over guys' head, and they just don't look good at all. They're not sharp at all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's my team.
Which is crazy because they've been together already. It ain't like they made big trades or anything. They still got the same core. So how are you getting worse? How?
Well,
and then just like what we said earlier, this is supposed to be the soft part of their season, and they're losing.
It doesn't look good. I can just tell you that. It's not going to be a pretty season for them. It doesn't look like right now, unless they can do it 360 degrees. Their defense looks suspect in certain elements. Tua overthrew Tyreek a couple of times, at least once that he overthrew Tyreek, and he was so frustrated he took himself out of the game. So it's going to be a lot of finger pointing for sure, So we'll keep an eye on the Miami Dolphins to see what's up with that. Let's talk a little bit about.
What the Dolphins? No, hang on. What the Dolphins got to do is call Kansas City, get Tyreek back over there to Kansas City because they need a receiver, and Tyreek Hill need to stay out of trouble because like we said, Tyreek Hill been in so much more trouble in Miami than he was in Kansas City. So it will benefit both parties. They need to go ahead. He need to go ahead.
So who could Kansas City give up that would be valuable enough to come to Miami and make a difference? I don't think they have any trade stock coming out of Kansas City. Who would they give up? Xavier Worthy, he's pretty decent receiver. I mean, he's not bad.
Yeah.
But
yes, I think he was out, but yeah.
The Kansas City really don't have a lot to offer. They don't have a lot of trade stock to offer any teams. For Tyreek Hill, I would think that they should definitely get a very highly valued player. let's just say they trade. If I was a general manager for Miami, I would ask them for Isaiah Pacheco, that running back they have at Kansas City.
That's what I was thinking.
That's
what I was thinking.
I would ask him for Isaiah Pacheco to come down to Miami, and then that might be an even somewhat of a trade, I would say. So let's talk a little bit about Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know if the status will match up, but yes.
Right. Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost yesterday, and they lost a game that they should have won, as far as I'm concerned. Looks like Aaron Rodgers completed 18 out of 33 passes for 203 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions to 31-17 loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Help me understand that. Isaiah, help me understand it.
They can't go. He has nobody. Not only I don't think he has nobody to throw it to. They line is not the greatest either. He's an older quarterback. We said that already.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already throwing out of his usual. First of all, he's one of the better efficient quarterbacks when it comes to passing the ball. And you just said that he threw 18 for 33. That's 50%. 50% in almost any other sport is good.
Mm-hmm.
Football, as in passing, is awful. You can't. You got to throw at least 60%. At least 60%. That to be considered. They'd be even in the conversation of throwing the ball good. So he's already borderline 50%. And then he threw in picks. He threw more picks than he did touchdowns. Yeah. They're not guarding him. They're not guarding him enough. So he's throwing out of fear, almost sound like, because he has nobody to throw it to. Just like what
well, he's got DK Metcalf. That's his principal target, you know.
But that's one person. That's one person. That's if he can get open. If he can get open, then I mean, yeah, of course. But when you only can focus on one person, I mean, the defense is just going to just double him, or they're just going to make sure they just take him out of the game. And who Aaron Rodgers got to throw it to after that? They don't have the best line already, and he's not mobile, and he's an older player off a torn Achilles.
Yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that because it doesn't really look good. I can tell you that much. So I'm going to have you guys call the games tonight and give me your predictions tonight. Let's start with the Chargers and Raiders. Who do you guys go with that? With these teams?
I got the Chargers on the Chargers.
Yeah, I got the Chargers. I've never believed. As long as I've been alive, I don't think the Raiders ever been good. Nah, I'm over the Chargers.
Well, Pete Carroll is with him and Geno Smith, and the Raiders has got Ashton Genty, and they got an explosive offense now.
No disrespect to Geno Smith, but I never liked them.
They new and they're growing. They're not ready yet. They'll be good. But they're not ready yet.
I don't think Geno Smith ever even had a good season. He's a veteran player. I don't think he even had a winning season. Nah, go ahead.
He's been all right, man. That's why he's still in the NFL.
Well, he's playing for Pete Carroll too, and Pete Carroll loved him to death, by the way. Yeah. So
that's why he has a job,
right?
Because he's probably a solid backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably a solid backup.
I think he's a starter. I think he's a bona fide, legitimate starter, in my opinion. I think he could start.
Because he's better than a lot of quarterbacks out there, man.
Because the thing that Geno Smith, most people don't realize is if you put him in the right system like he was at Seattle before Pete Carroll got out of there, if you got him in the right system, he's not going to make many mistakes. And he stepped right in when Russell Wilson left up out of there, and the continuity kind of stayed the same. They didn't win as many games, but the continuity pretty much stayed the same and everything.
Did you hear what you just said? He was in one of the best situations he could be in and still didn't have a winning season. Mm-hmm. Thank you. You just proved my point.
That don't mean he
just proved my point.
You still didn't factor in he's got to be on a team with a great defense too. And it's not all about him being as good as he can be. It's about having a nucleus of a whole team.
Got a good defense. The Seahawks.
They had a decent defense back then, but their defense wasn't as good as the Rough Rider defense when when all them guys and Richard Sherman and all them guys was there. Chancellor.
We're not gonna say top tier. We ain't say top tier. So you have top tier defense to have a winning season. Come on, man.
Well, Isaiah, for one thing, any quarterback should have a good defense in order to be able to play at the level and not make many mistakes, in my opinion, for that. So let's go to this next game. Tampa Bay and the Texans. Who do you guys pick from this game?
Tampa Bay.
Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield.
Sounds good. So I'm going to give you my 2 picks. I'm going to go with the Chargers and Tampa Bay. How about that?
Okay. So you got the same pick then. Okay.
Absolutely.
You're a smart man.
Absolutely. So that pretty much wraps up our 1 hour live stream. We had a really good show. I'm so happy. I'm always happy because I'm around my kinfolk, and this was only a dream, but it came true. So we'll wrap this show up. We covered a lot of topics today, from the Annie Brown topic. You know, her topics is just getting better and better and better. So we'll definitely move on, and we'll be back by the end of the week for another live stream. So I'm going to go ahead and close this thing out. I'm going to start with Isaiah, and we'll go from there.
I want to salute you guys. It was beautiful. This weekend was nice. You know, despite all the weather with the rain and the delays and the lightning and all that stuff, people came out and supported my Hurricanes. You know, the Dolphins just looked like disaster. But hopefully get that on track. But anyway, in terms of our family, I want to give everybody a hug who came and watched us.
Absolutely.
And supported us. So continue to do that. Tell your friends, your family, your loved ones that we're on. Continue to support us. Have a pleasant week.
Absolutely. So how about you, Najee?
Oh, peace and blessings, love God, because He's definitely gonna love you. Yeah. So like I've always say all the time, just love on your loved ones and try to live life the best way you can, because I'm not gonna touch the bad media that's been going on. But bro, you see what I say all the time, that bro, like life could be taken from you in a second. Like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So just like I say, try to live life the best way you can, love your loved ones, and just try to stay blessed up.
Absolutely. So my thought of the day to everyone is to take care of your mental health first and foremost. Express and show patience whenever you're moving around amongst others, and just take care of people around you that you can take care of, and help people. If you can help someone, help them. Don't think that it's an obligation, but just think that if you can help somebody, help them out, because a lot of people are in need right now for different things. I meet people all the time, and they have all different types of issues. So you help somebody, it comes back to you twofold. We'll do this thing again. My name is Derek Stewart, again, along with my kinfolk Isaiah and Najee, and we will see you soon. And take care of yourself, and peace, love, and prosperity. Take care.